never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason to breathe this air.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Happy Sunday to everybody out there. I hope you are looking forward to a brand new week and try to make a difference in somebody's life. Do something good for somebody. But today, here on the channel, as I always do during the football season, I want to talk about some of the college football games from yesterday. Just the games that had either a close score or a game that had a close score at one time and then one team eventually pulled away. Like, I'm not going to waste any time talking about Michigan destroying Michigan State. What's the point? The game was never close. It was never in doubt. In a low-scoring, ugly game, the Bulldogs of Mississippi State defeat Arkansas 7-3. Now, I have not seen any of the up-to-the-minute hot seat rankings that always come out by quarter, by game, and bi-weekly during the football season, but Sam Pittman has to be on the hot seat, and if he's not, there's something wrong. I understand everybody loves Sam Pittman. He's one of those guys that I've never heard anybody say anything bad about, and quite frankly, when he talks, he kind of makes me want to play football. So I know how the players feel playing for him, but sooner or later, you have to show results on the field. And when he took over the program, they immediately improved from where they were when Chad Morris was the coach. But after his first couple of years, they've just kind of went very, very stagnant. He has to be on the hot seat. If not, there's a problem. Arkansas looks lost. They look confused. They look clueless. Memphis defeats UAB 45-21. Boston College actually trailed Georgia Tech 23-17, but scored the final 21 points of the game to win the game 38-23. And Georgia Tech is just an extremely Jekyll and Hyde football team. Rutgers is almost bowl eligible, and for Rutgers, that's a successful season. They defeat Indiana 31-14. Air Force is currently ranked right now in most of the polls, and they'll continue being ranked because they defeat Navy 17-6. Baylor defeats Cincinnati 32-29. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I know it sounds strange because you don't see it very often, but there are times when a program hires a coach and you're excited about it when it happens, but you figure out pretty quickly it was a mistake. I think that's kind of where Cincinnati is with Scott Satterfield. I think they've already figured out halfway through his first year that he was not the right guy. So if there's any program openings after the season, don't be surprised to see Scott Satterfield leave Cincinnati and go to said school because the Satterfield and Cincinnati thing is not going to work. Oklahoma beat Central Florida 31-29. Central Florida was down 31-23 with a minute and 16 seconds to go in the game. Scored a touchdown, went for two, didn't get it. And Oklahoma recovers the onside kick to hang on by 2 points. Ohio State defeated Penn State 20-12. And I know before the season started, I said that Ohio State was going to be dangerous because we know Ohio State's offense, although it's not as good this year as it has been in years past, they're always going to score points. But their problem's always been they can't stop anybody. And I said that I thought their defense was going to improve, and it has improved drastically. They're going to be tough to beat because they've got a killer defense. If they don't have some bad turnovers and bad penalties and hurt themselves, they're going to be tough to beat. For whatever reason, they can't run the ball this year, but when you've got 27,648 five-star wide receivers and a good defense, you really don't have to run the ball. Florida State defeated Duke 38-20, and I know when I was previewing some of the games from yesterday, earlier this week here on the channel, I said that you shouldn't be surprised if that was a fourth quarter game, and it was. You can't tell by the final score if you didn't watch the game, but Duke was actually ahead 20-17 going to quarter number 4. But Florida State dominated the fourth quarter. Texas holds off Houston 31-24. North Carolina suffers their first loss of the season to a absolutely awful Virginia football team, 31-27. I was talking to a friend of mine, I think it was Thursday, and he was talking about how he was looking forward to North Carolina playing Clemson because he actually thought that North Carolina has a pretty good shot at beating Clemson this year. And I said, yeah, they'll beat Clemson. Clemson can't score. They'll beat them. And he said, well, it just seems like no matter how good North Carolina is and how bad Clemson is when they play, Clemson always beats them. And I said, not this year. Then he got to talking about playing Virginia on Saturday, and I said, well, you should beat them pretty handily. They're terrible. And they're still terrible, but North Carolina did not play good at all. In a tale of two halves, Alabama defeats Tennessee 34-20. It was actually Tennessee 20, Alabama 7 at halftime, and the second half was all Alabama. They came out and scored 10 points in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, and I said right then, they're going to win this game. Ole Miss defeats Auburn 28-21. Utah defeats USC 34-32. So USC goes from being a top 10 team to probably barely being ranked and out of the playoff hunt in 2 weeks. And Utah still won't say whether or not Cam Rising is going to play this year. But I'm going to guess, since we're heading into the final week of October and he still hasn't showed no sign of playing, that he's not playing this year. And I think they'll stick with Bryson Barnes. Bryson Barnes started out the season as a quarterback. He struggled. They tried a couple other guys, but I think Bryson Barnes has the highest upside. Missouri dominated South Carolina 34-12. And I know I said before the season started that I thought South Carolina was a 5-win team, maybe 6-win team. I gave them too much credit. They're going to struggle to reach 4 wins. In an ugly game, Minnesota defeats Iowa 12-10. Iowa's offense again was a complete abomination. It should be against some kind of law for a team to be that pitiful on offense. Nebraska defeats Northwestern 17-9. Wake Forest defeats Pittsburgh 21-17. 17. Oklahoma State beats West Virginia 48-34. BYU defeats Texas Tech 27-14. Kansas State all over TCU 41-3. Oregon defeats Washington State 38-24. And in double overtime, Miami defeats Clemson 28-20. Same thing for Clemson, just cannot move the ball on offense consistently. I know it's a different offense now than it was when they had Brandon Streeter, but it's still the same results. Different scheme, but same results. They move the ball, but they can't score. And they had fumbleitis again. After a while, when a team just turns the ball over like crazy, like Clemson has this year, you just have to realize that that's who they are. It's not a one-game thing, two-game thing. That's who they are as a team right now. And Dabo doesn't make coaching changes during the season. That's just something he doesn't do. And if he's ever asked about it during the season, he always says, I'll reevaluate it after the season, because he doesn't make in-season coaching changes. But it would not surprise me at all if, when the season's over with, Clemson releases their wide receiver coach and their offensive line coach and their running back coach. The offensive line can pass block fine, but the run blocking is absolutely terrible. And Will Shipley came in as a 5-star, but he has not improved whatsoever. I personally think he's declined, but even if you don't think he's declined, he hasn't gotten better. So there's something wrong in the running back room, and there's something wrong in the offensive line room, and I just think they make a change at wide receiver, because when you have this many wide receivers, but none of them can consistently make a difference, there's something going on. So I don't have any kind of insider information, just my guess, but I think you'll see a change at running back coach, wide receiver coach, and offensive line coach after the season. And if you have any thoughts on the whole Michigan thing, please feel free to let me know. I personally haven't brought it up because, to me, it's not a big deal at all. But I guess according to the rule book, they're breaking the rules. So maybe they should get in trouble somehow, some way for breaking the rules. But to me, it's not a big deal. But if you'd like to talk about it, please feel free to let me know here on the channel. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. And today's dad joke is a question. Think about this. If a book about failure doesn't sell, is it a success? And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.